I would just like to say a few things about my personal experience, because in that very kind introduction, you're talking about how much I travel and the stories I cover, and migration has become an increasingly important part of my remit. I was just explaining to the members of the panel earlier that I was in New Mexico not so long ago, and I went out with the Border Patrol on an armed attempt to stop Mexicans getting into North America. And they're quite successful. They stop about 50% of the people. But of the rest, if they get about 20 miles into the United States, frankly, they've made it. There's very little chance of stopping them after that. If they're caught, they're immediately taken back over the border at a place called Douglas in Arizona. And when they get back across the border, there waiting for them are the coyotes, who are the professional smugglers who tried to get them across the border the night before. And what they do is they meet up with them again, and they have another attempt that night. And it's a 3 strikes and you're out system. When you pay to be smuggled, they take you across 3 times, and if you don't make it, you have to pay again. If you do make it, you're on your own. That gives you some idea of the kind of professionalism of it, and also the economics of it. It pays very well to have yourself smuggled into America, as it does in many other parts of the world. And the reason isn't difficult to see if you travel widely, as I'm sure many of you have, that we are very lucky in this country, that people from many other parts of the world want to come here because they can make a great deal of money. It's not the only reason for migration, but it is an important one. And I was in Warsaw a few years ago, where I was watching people being interviewed for the job of a bus driver in Crewe. Crewe is not the most exciting place in the world, I know, because my family all come from there. But the reason that this Polish coach driver wanted to work there was basically because in 5 years' time, he would earn enough to buy his own family house, buy himself a bus, and set himself up as basically a part-time worker. He would be able to semi-retire in Poland. And then this year I went back to Crewe to report on the fact that Labour had managed to lose the by-election there. And quite a few people I spoke to said one of the reasons was that there were too many immigrants. They said, we're not racist, but there's too many immigrants and they're taking our work. Now, I think we'll be shedding quite a bit of light, I hope. Not too much heat, maybe quite a bit of light on that issue. Whether it's true or whether it's just an urban myth, whether we are the net benefiters from migration or whether we are losing out. The final point I would like to make is that yesterday I was in Dagenham and Barking, which is only about half an hour from here. Less, actually, I would have thought. I had to interview the head of the second largest party on the council in Dagenham and Barking, and he's the London organiser for the BNP. And he says exactly the same thing that those people in Crewe were saying, that it is immigrants that are taking the jobs of our voters. That's why people are coming to us. But if you look at the educational achievements in Barking and Dagenham, 40% of people, only 40% of children, are leaving school with 5 GCSEs, which include English and maths, which is basically the basic requirement for moving into even a semi-skilled job. 60% aren't. Of the population of Dagenham and Barking, 20% have no qualifications whatsoever. These are the people who you might assume are losing out because of migration. People like us, educated, well-informed, well-qualified, will probably survive in any world. And I'd be interested in finding out what the members of the panel think about those issues, because we must remember it's not just us we're talking about, it's the country as a whole. And finally, just on the point that when I was at school, I was always told when you do an exam, read the question 3 times. The subject is actually migration, skills and the job market. And I'd be very interested if anyone is going to mention the fact that we also export an awful lot of workers from this country, many skilled workers. That is also another side of the same story. And I hope you enjoy our debate.